Y'all sound unhinged. Not my monkeys, not my circus. You baby. Bye. Oh, we have an update. I need to take a second. Hi babes, my name is Moran. Welcome to my series Getting Personal, where I gather different stories from Reddit. Usually they are pretty crazy, which is the case today. Most of these are coming from AITA. And the common theme for today's episode is insane stories where people are trying to pass a huge problem or something completely unhinged as not a big deal. You know, relax, calm down, nothing that weird is happening, while it is actually a pretty big problem. And by the way, some of these stories have updates, so let's dive in and see exactly how not a big problem these stories are. And the first one is, am I the asshole for refusing to date my brother's friend and costing him $10,000? So my 22 female older brother, 30 male, has a wealthy friend, 30 male. This friend comes from old money, plus they run a successful startup together. Over the last year or so, they've been expanding the business. I go to college and currently live with my parents and sister. I'm the least aware of my brother's business dealings out of the whole family, so typically my parents or sister will let me know of any serious news. Well, apparently there have been some financial mistakes and my brother owed his friend 10K. I didn't know all the details until my brother came up to me one evening and said that I can help. He explained that his friend was willing to overlook the debt if I went on a few dates with him. I was pretty confused as to why I was thrusted into this situation. I'm not even that well acquainted with his friend, and wanting to date me came out of nowhere. I immediately told my brother that there is no way I'd date, aka sleep, with his friend just because he owes him money. The whole proposal made me feel really gross and cheap. He has been begging me for days to help out and that I'm the only ticket to clearing that 10K. Even his friend reached out and the conversation made me feel really awkward. I feel like I'm being pimped out by my brother and treated like some object to clear his debt. Now my brother, as well as my parents, are angry at me for not dating his friend. They said that nobody expects me to have sex with the guy, so I should just go on the dates to help my brother slash his reputation. They're saying that I'm very unsupportive and selfish. Am I the for not going along with the plan? As I've said in the intro, this is insanity, but the people here are just being like, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, that's just what people do. Just go and him to clear my debt. What in the actual is going on? I am so baffled as to parents also joining in and trying to literally pimp out their daughter to this random guy. And everybody is so chill about it. Like, there is nothing wrong with this. This is giving me, you know, the brother being the golden child, the favorite baby, and her just cleaning up his messes and being, you know, irrelevant just on the sidelines. So she's kind of expendable. And now she has to somehow step in and give herself away because he messed up. And I love how it said that I'm his only ticket to clearing that 10K. Well, honey, you made a mistake. You up. How about you go and fix it? Not sell your sister for $10,000. I can't even. This is absolutely nuts. Now, she also added screenshots of what the brother's friend texted her. And it just takes this whole situation to another level of what in the so let's see. She says, you're disgusting and have no respect for people. Just because you have money, it doesn't mean you're allowed to treat others this way. I have the utmost respect for you. Your brother is the one who has no respect for you. Don't you agree? She goes, shut the up and go find an escort if you want to buy sex. He goes, lol, I don't need to buy sex. I want you and have a hard time hearing no. I get temporary deafness, so you should reconsider. Why don't you give it a try? She goes, no means no, you delusional creepy motherfucker. Listen, I can give you everything you need. And what do I need? Pure bliss and pleasure as much as you desire in all the ways you haven't experienced much pleasure in your life, I can tell. So I'm here to offer that to you. Stimulation overload as much as you can handle in that body. You sound weird. Give some of that bliss to people who want it. Nope. Your own brother is willing to sell you for 10K. Your parents seem fine with it too. Looks like no one cares about you, unfortunately. She goes, you're a bad person, like really bad. I'm a bad person for finding you attractive? People are not toys you can buy just because you're wealthy. Well, you look like one. Adorable face with a womanly body, perfect lips, tits, and hips. Looks like you were made just for me. And I have a weakness for exotic girls. She just goes, wow. Then he goes, I'm normally not into poor girls, but yes, you're wow. I've always wanted to a girl with heterochromia. I'd probably not extra hard looking into those gorgeous eyes. I'm sorry, but I have no words. I am beyond disgusted. This man seems like he came out of a bad, like really cheap, dark romance novel, and he thinks this is hot or like cool, and he's the so he can say anything he wants, but like the level to which he treats people as just products for his own entertainment, as something he can buy, sell, throw away, is mind-blowing. I'm genuinely shocked to see this like in action. I know people like that exist, but seeing it, just gives you that extra snap to being shocked, and that's what I am at this point. But we also have an update. My sister and my guy friend are supporting me. I actually have a huge crush on my friend, so it feels good to know he has my back. But then again, I reckon any decent person would. I don't want to be around my family, so I'm gonna spend a few days at my friend's place. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a family that you would cut out of your life completely, because I mean, your parents are ready to literally sell you, which is just, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. This is absolutely unacceptable. I cannot imagine anyone being fine with this and not outraged by this. And the fact that the brother even thought about this, even considered agreeing to this, is just so sad. Anyway, obviously not the don't agree to it, because you will just validate your stupid brother, you will validate that man's behavior, and will just make all of this so much worse. Obviously, the brother will then think that it's fine to do that, and the dude will just keep treating people like absolute trash, and that dude deserves to hear some no's, preferably all the no's. And it's like, I have a hard time hearing no. I get temporary deafness. Go to a doctor, honey. You can afford one, and you can afford a good one because you're wealthy. Go get tested. Also, at the psychiatrist, preferably. Let's move on to the next story. Am I the asshole for yelling at my wife for firing our babysitter and making her cry because she called an ambulance? So basically, here's what happened. Me and my wife hired our babysitter, who we've been going to for years. We have 2 sons and a daughter, and we've been hiring her since my oldest son was a baby, though it was mostly her mom looking after the baby while she was helping, so we gave her a couple of dollars for that. She's now 16 and can look after the kids all on her own, and my oldest 2 love her. My youngest is only 7 months, so I'm not sure he really gets it yet, but he seems relatively happy when he's with her. This Friday, my kids' daycare has been closed for renovations, and Daisy, our babysitter, has kindly offered to take care of them after school from 3:30 to 6 p.m. I get home from work at 6, and my wife gets home at 5:30. However, I got home early from work at 5:30. When I got home, I found my wife yelling at Daisy while Daisy was just sobbing and apologizing. I asked my wife what was going on, and all she did was just start yelling that Daisy had cost us a bunch of money. My first thought was that she'd broken something, but my wife wasn't telling me what it was. She told Daisy she wouldn't be paying her for her time and to get the out of the house and never come back or she'd call the police. Daisy then ran out crying, and I left my wife to calm down while I comforted my kids. They were all crying in a different room while my wife yelled at Daisy. When everything had calmed down, I got the full story from my wife. My mother had been looking after the kids until 3:30 while we were at work. This was Daisy's first time looking after my youngest son, though we knew we could trust her with the babies since she looked after my daughter alone when she was a baby. Something important that you should know is that my youngest son has breath-holding episodes which occur when he gets frustrated or is in pain, and he will just hold his breath. To stop them, you just have to blow on the baby or they will just snap out of it on their own. They're completely normal and relatively safe in babies. However, the episodes can sometimes cause passing out and blueness, and it's normal, and he usually wakes up within a few seconds. To cut a long story short, my mom forgot to tell Daisy what to do if that happens, and when my son passed out, Daisy panicked and called 911. And then my wife. My wife is now angry that Daisy called 911 for nothing and has now wasted our money on an ambulance ride. Me and my wife are now arguing because I think Daisy did the right thing, but my wife doesn't. Yesterday we got into a heated argument. We both said some hurtful stuff, and she's now staying with her mother for a few days while she thinks over my priorities in the relationship. Hell yeah, Daisy called 911 because an infant on her watch stopped breathing. Daisy is not in the wrong. It should absolutely be treated as a huge problem when a child stops breathing when you're babysitting them. And she's 16. She probably has no idea what to do. Nobody told her this can happen. So for your wife to like yell at her and flip out is so childish. Like, why is your wife so awful? I understand that an ambulance, especially in the US, can cost like a lot of money, but this is a very reasonable situation to call the ambulance. You're trying to blame a child for literally doing the best thing in this situation. I genuinely hope that one of y'all or both of y'all apologize to Daisy and tell her that in fact she was right to call an ambulance because it's not her fault that y'all completely forgot to inform her about potential problems, and she shouldn't suffer consequences for your wife's terrible temper. Anyway, let's move to the next story. My friend, 19 male, makes his girlfriend, 20 female, degrade herself in front of us. I'm worried for her and I don't know what to do. This is actually from relationship advice. All fake names. This is really long. I'm sorry. I just need outside perspectives and where else to turn but for the opinions of Reddit. Carter and I have been friends since we were about 11 or so. We've gone through friendship groups together, life events, etc. I'd consider him my best mate. He's never been particularly lucky with girls. He had a girlfriend back when we were 14, but it was more friends with a label thing you do when you're kids. So when Carter came and started telling us all about this girl he's been seeing, we were all hyped for him. He was gushing about her non-stop, and eventually, of course, he asked if we'd meet her. When we first met Sophie, she was immediately a little off. Carter had told us she was super shy, so we shouldn't be offended if she didn't really talk to us, but it was next level. The whole time we were out, she was clinging onto Carter's arm. She said maybe a maximum of 3 words the entire time, and she never looked anybody in the eyes. Her head was constantly down. She looked like she was always on the brink of tears and always stood slightly behind Carter, like hiding behind him. I didn't say anything because I figured she was just even more shy than he had explained. For the next little while, he'd bring Sophie along, and she was always just as strange, always glancing to Carter before she spoke, when she spoke at all, and hiding behind him. Eventually, I did ask him about why this was, and he told me that she has BPD and anxiety and is super attached to him, feels nervous speaking to anyone that isn't already her friend, etc. To the point she can't even answer her phone without nearly nearly throwing up over it. But he said this all in a very positive tone, which I thought was odd, though I brushed it off. This is when I started to become a little unnerved, though. Carter told me that she was so attached to him and so desperate to keep him around that she would do basically whatever he wanted without questioning it. He told me the next time he brought Sophie with us, he'd prove it. And he did. When we next went out with Sophie, he randomly stopped her from walking and told her to sit like a dog right on the floor. She hesitated, looked around at us, back at Carter, then went to go and do it before he burst out laughing and told her not to make a fool of herself. She looked embarrassed as hell and everyone laughed, admittedly, me included. Hilarious. Throughout the evening, he kept telling her to do weirdly demeaning things. Each time they were getting worse and worse. At one point, he told her to hit herself, and again she went to do it, but he grabbed her hand. Everyone was laughing every time, and I suppose Carter was getting a bit of a kick out of making everyone laugh at Sophie's expense. When she went home, he told us that he told us so, and that she would always jump if he said jump. Who are you people? Y'all sound unhinged. This began to happen every time we went out. He'd tell her to do all these different things, and every time she looked shaky and about to cry, but she would always go to do whatever he asked until he stopped her and told her to stop it, like he was scolding a child. The novelty wore off, and it quickly became more and more uncomfortable the more he did it. It became clear Sophie wasn't in on this joke. You thought she was in on the joke the first time, the second time? What are y'all on? Obviously, she's not in on the joke. Ooh, this is making me mad. Okay. For whatever reason, she really did want to appease whatever he demanded, even if it meant making a fool of herself. After a few weeks of this, we were telling him to cool it. Nobody was laughing anymore, so he kept trying to get her to do more and more outrageous things. I kind of chalked what he was doing up to this being his first ever relationship. He was giddy, he was riding a high, so as much as I thought he was being a bit of an ass, I didn't think too hard on it. A bit of an ass? Your friend is treating a human being like a circus animal in front of y'all and your friends for weeks, and you're like, I didn't think too hard on it. You, sir, and all of y'all sirs are huge holes. I didn't expect to get this angry, but this is just, I can't believe this. The final straw for me came the other night. We were all at Carter's house watching the game, and Sophie was downstairs hanging out with his grandma. Halftime came and we started talking about how hungry we were. We ordered some food. As we were ordering though, Carter started calling out Sophie's name. She came upstairs and still didn't really say much. Carter turned to her and said, "Go make me a sandwich, ham and cheese." Everyone in the room went kind of silent, and Sophie just stood there wide-eyed like she didn't know how to react. She said one word, "Really?" And he sort of flicked his head up in a dismissive go type of way, and off she went. We were all sort of stunned by this, and the atmosphere in the room got really quiet. Nobody knew what to say. I think everyone was taken aback, but Carter went on commenting on the game like nothing had happened, so we moved on. A few minutes later, and we hear someone coming up the stairs. Carter turned to us, a huge grin on his face, and told us to watch this. Sophie comes in, plate in hand, and gives it to him. As she's turning around to leave, he says her name once more. "One last thing. Take your top off. Strip." Sophie looks straight up appalled when she turns back to face us, and honestly, so did the other guys. Everyone's mouth was wide open in shock, other than Carter, who had a huge smirk on his face. Sophie shakes her head ever so slightly and is biting her lip hard, seeming nervous. Carter urges her to go on, and I can definitely see tears in her eyes, but she listens and starts reaching for her top from underneath, shaking like crazy while she does it. She gets it about halfway up until again, like always, Carter tells her to stop and put her top back down, laughing away. He thanks her and she leaves to go back downstairs, downstairs looking visibly shaken. The rest of the night, no one said a word to one another until we went home. I haven't spoken to Carter since. I haven't spoken to the other guys either. I don't know how to go about bringing it up or what to do. What started as admittedly mean-spirited joke has spiraled into something so much more. I don't know why Sophie is so willing to do anything for Carter like this. I understand the attachment thing he said, but she's willing to do things that make her visibly uncomfortable and upset for him. I can't explain that. I'm disgusted with Carter right now. It feels like he's levering her obsession with him, and it makes me worried for her. I don't know if he's just doing this to be a show off or if he does similar things when it's just them. I honestly don't have a clue. I don't know what to do, how to confront him about how uncomfortable this all is, etc. And I know I can't ask Sophie if she's okay. She barely even responds when I say hi to her, let alone anything else. Edit, since everyone is pointing it out, admittedly I didn't really see what he was doing as abusive. Being a yeah, for sure, but not abusing. I'm taking the comments on board. That's why I posted after all, and I understand all the views saying I'm contributing, etc. Again, I don't view it that way, but having all these responses has definitely made me realize I'm not replying to comments just yet. I'm out at dinner, but I will as soon as I'm back. I accept fault for not doing anything at the time. Okay, I'm gonna lay off of you because you seem to be accepting what other people are saying, but I'm still mad at every single person who participated in the humiliations that Carter inflicted on Sophie. Carter is an absolute piece of shit. I wish he was isolated from society because this is just not a normal behavior. Is he just trying to show off? No, I'm pretty sure he does worse things to her when nobody's looking because he knows he can do whatever he wants to her and she will listen. And it's like, I don't know why she's willing to do anything for him like that. Well, because as stated earlier, she has BPD and anxiety, and people with BPD, as one of the symptoms, have very severe attachment issues, and they sometimes will fixate on this one person who's like their center of the universe, and they are willing to do anything for them. And even if it makes them absolutely broken, uncomfortable, they will do anything to keep this person around and keep this person happy. Freaking Carter is basically abusing a mentally ill person because he knows he can. He is a monster, and y'all are not much better because you were laughing at him doing this for weeks. Again, weeks to her, and you thought it was funny, and you thought it was somehow okay that your friend makes a woman perform tricks like a little obedient dog. This is so bad. I don't even want to give any advice here except for reach out to Sophie and tell her that what your friend does to her is abusive and try to get her help, because if you just stop talking to Carter and leave Sophie there, this will probably end really badly. But also, Carter sounds like such a nightmare that there is no point in explaining anything to him because he will just laugh it off. I just don't see a person who would make his girlfriend strip in front of his friends to be able to understand that what he's doing is absolutely up. He seems to be getting off on this control. He seems to get off on abusing this vulnerable person. I don't know. Try to save Sophie. I understand that she's not talking to you. I understand she's like scared and stuff, but Carter will definitely not listen to you. Sophie is in danger. So that's on all of y'all because you know what's happening to her and you are not doing anything about it. Of course, it's mostly the responsibility of the people who are in the relationship, but when you see blatant abuse of a person and you're willing to just walk away, you're also kind of complicit in this whole situation and in whatever will happen to the person later on. I just think that any decent person would at least try getting this girl out of this relationship or try getting her the help she needs to get rid of this piece of garbage. So yeah, the next story. Am I the for screaming at my husband to get out after he pranked me with flowers? This one actually is from Best of Redditor Updates, so we have more of the story. Okay, there is a trigger warning: emotional manipulation, controlling behavior, sexism, emotional neglect. My husband and my marriage is not going well. I'm very close to divorce and I've talked to him about it. I told him I wanted some effort. I wanted flowers, chocolate, a nicely written note, something that showed he wanted to romance me. He finally took it seriously and agreed. When I came home from a 12-hour shift yesterday, he had laid a trail of rose petals in our house. It was so beautiful. The trail ended at the kitchen sink where he had piled a bunch of dirty dishes, pots, and pans to clean. He said he got the idea from TikTok. I screamed at him to get out of my house. He left after arguing a bit. I cried. Some of my friends said I was right, but others say he was just being playful. Am I the asshole? First of all, not the asshole. Second of all, this is not a funny prank. Third of all, this prank could have been pulled off only in a healthy relationship. In a relationship where it's clear to both people that this is just a joke. Me and my husband will sometimes indulge in a little bit of like stupid marriage humor and stuff like that, but we both know that there is no like ill intent behind it. When your wife is telling you our marriage is not going well, is telling you, could you please be more attentive, be more gentle, more romantic, and your response is to prank her with the exact opposite of what she was asking, it just screams to me malicious intent. And this would be probably the last drop for me, depending on how bad the marriage is. But like, this is something that seems so tiny, but screams about so much more. He doesn't respect you enough, he doesn't love you enough to actually put an effort in, and instead he tries pranks on you that he took from TikTok. Why doesn't he marry TikTok instead? Okay, then we have relevant comments, not the asshole. I'm old and a widow. I had a very long and loving relationship with my husband. He had a fantastic sense of humor and often did very silly things to get a laugh out of me. Our marriage was solid because he would never have let me come home from a 12-hour shift to rose petals leading to a dirty sink of dishes. He would have had those rose petals leading to a sparkling kitchen, dinner ready, and with him dressed in a French maid outfit, probably with his hanging out. God, I miss that man. Oh, that is so cute. Anyway, what your husband did, especially knowing how much you were really needing some romance, was incredibly cruel and tone deaf. I don't think this one is a keeper OP. 100% agree. Then, in response to this, the OP goes, I'm so sorry for your loss. Your husband sounds like an incredible man who loved you very, very much. I wish I had that kind of love. Then we have TikTok is a pestilence. Did he film you? That's not playful, especially when the stakes are high. Get him a fake winning lottery ticket, then hand him a divorce decree. This is an excellent idea. And then the OP responds to this. He had his phone out. I don't think he posted it, but if he does, I'm done. I actually found the original or maybe one of the TikTok pranks he used as inspiration. The comments even pointed out how messed up it was to do. I would give him a fake lottery ticket if I didn't know he would make a fuss about it. Oh wow, sure, he will make a fuss about it, but just follow it up with divorce papers and say, not my monkeys, not my circus. You baby, bye. There is your prank. Now that one is funny, I think. Okay, update. My husband came back home last night. I had cooled off and then he ruined it by saying I was overreacting, that it was funny, and he wanted to make me laugh. I told him I was going to file for divorce because it was the last straw. He then started crying and begging me not to. He begged me to give him a second chance. I love these men who are like awful and they think they're so cool and they can do whatever they want, but then as soon as they get a bit of consequences, they start crying, begging, groveling, and being like, please don't do this to me. You did this to yourself. I said he already got a second chance and he squandered it by reminding me that I do all the daily chores in this house. This was why our marriage was rocky. I work in the medical field while he is a blue collar worker. Both of our jobs require long hours, but if I mess up, people die. He once said that I went through all that schooling just to get covered in blood and he took it back after, but he wanted to make me feel low. He started doing that a bit after COVID started. I do the cooking and cleaning. I do the laundry, the sweeping, the dentist appointments. All he does is create more work for me. He wanted me to pack him lunch because his friends' wives do. His friends' wives are either stay-at-home moms or they have part-time jobs. I do not have the time or energy to do that. Well, yeah, with 12-hour shifts. What? He said he mows the lawn. Well, guess what? It's winter and I had to shovel the driveway because I had work in the morning and he had the day off. I make more money. I bought our house at a low rate during COVID because his credit was too low. I had to save the money for a down payment. I pay our mortgage. What did he contribute to my life? If I didn't have him in my life, I would have clean floors all the time and more money. At least he could contribute love. He said he loved me, but he doesn't do anything to prove it. So I asked him for flowers or chocolate or a nice card. Literally anything to show some love. But instead, he dropped flower petals to a sink full of dirty dishes, pots, and pans. It's not even original. I'm done. I'm going to file for divorce. I am so happy this is ending in a divorce because this man sounds like an absolute liability. He doesn't contribute anything to the partnership whatsoever. And it's not about the chores, it's not about the money. It just seems that he doesn't play a part in anything that has to do with your marriage or your life. He just exists and literally does create more and more problems for you. Who does he think he is? He asked you to pack his lunch because his friends' wives do so. People from Eastern Europe will definitely know that one from our childhood when your mom says, if your friends jump off the bridge, will you jump with them? It's like you have to consider the specifics of your situation, and the specifics of your situation is that your wife works so hard helping and saving people and she earns more money than you. She bought the house, she does the chores, and all she's asking from you at this point is to give her a freaking card. It blows my mind. She didn't ask for like a trip to Bahamas. She didn't ask for, weekly dance lessons. I don't know. I can't even come up with anything right now, but she just asked for a card. My heart breaks for her. Like, this man made her feel so small, so unloved and insignificant that she's desperate enough to just ask for flowers or chocolate or a card when she deserves so much more. She seems like a badass woman who has her life together, who is amazing, and there is this parasite leeching off of her, and all the effort that he decides to spend is on a stupid sexist prank. I have no words. This man is garbage. Garbage people all over the place. Let's see the next story. Am I the for saying my sister's family can't temporarily move in with me and my wife due to their pets. I, 30 male, have been married to my wife Naomi, 29 female, for 3 years, but we have been together for over 10 years and we are expecting our first child together. Naomi is currently 6.5 months pregnant, and I'm not going to lie, but her pregnancy is considered high risk, and our doctor advised her to avoid any stressful situations because of it. About 6 months ago, my sister Kate, 38 female, have bought a new built house with her husband Bob, 40 male, so they can accommodate all my nephews who are 17 male, 15 female, 7 female, and twins that are 14 months old. Their house is 6 bedroom. Extra bedroom is used as Bob's hobby room. Bob is a lot into insects and spiders, so he has a few tarantulas, cockroaches, etc. Now to the issue. Latest survey has discovered that Kate's house is not safe to live in due to some construction issues. I don't know why it hasn't been picked up earlier, but now they have nowhere to live and have started a legal battle against the company responsible for building the house to get their money back. Currently, they cannot afford to buy another house or rent, as prices for the places for rent are way too high in their area. Due to this, my sister has asked me if they can temporarily move in with me and Naomi, since Naomi inherited a large house from her parents. It is an older Victorian house that still requires a lot of work. So far, we have only replaced all the windows to keep the warmth in. The house has enough space for my sister and her family, and I said they can move in with us as long as they don't bring their tarantulas and other insects with them, as my wife is terrified of spiders to the point of passing out or having a severe panic attack, and Bob has them escaping frequently. Bob refused. This resulted in a massive argument where I was called an for not providing my sister and her family with accommodation at the time of need over some spiders. Edit, as this has been mentioned a few times, I have asked my wife and have spoken to her about my sister staying over, and it was her choice to agree as long as there were no spiders. I haven't made the decision myself without asking for her opinion first. Edit 2, I have seen a lot of people recommending my wife go to therapy over her fear of spiders. She's in therapy for it. However, it is a bit complicated as one of her family members passed away due to complications caused after a spider bite while they were on holiday. I hope this explains why her fear is as severe as it is. Now, see, this also is this situation where people don't seem to be getting how big the problem is. It's like you can't just come in and demand a person accommodate you in their house when you're trying to move in with creatures that terrify this person to death. Like, if this happened to me, and I am absolutely terrified of spiders, I literally think if I see a big enough spider, I also can't pass out, I would not let them in. Like, Bob can stay with his spiders and cockroaches somewhere else, in a motel, in a rental, I don't care. I don't care. Take in sister and children. That seems fair to me, because like there's no way I'm sleeping when I know there is a tarantula in the vicinity. No way. Especially since Bob has them escaping frequently. Okay, so Bob is also irresponsible with his little terror creatures. Not the asshole. Bob is just being very obtuse in this situation. I get it. You know, certain people have attachment to these things that the rest of us just are mystified by. Like, I will never, for the life of me, understand how you can be attached to a hairy, 8-legged creature that is disgusting. It's a mystery to me how you can be attached to that. But yet again, I love snakes, and a lot of people are afraid of snakes. So, you know, to each their own, but don't impose your creatures on other people, especially when it's like the people are doing you a huge favor. And Bob is also kind of having a problem with his priorities, I feel like, because he his wife and his 5 children have nowhere to live and they can move in with their relatives, but he refuses to do so and give them a home because of a bunch of cockroaches and spiders. Oh, Bob. Now we have, am I the asshole for telling my sister I love my cats more than my niece? I, 28 female, live about 4 hours away from my sister, 26 female. She gave birth to my niece 4 weeks ago and I haven't been able to visit yet due to my work schedule. She really wanted me to meet the baby, so she offered to come stay the weekend at my place so I could spend time with them. I was very excited and asked if I needed to baby proof anything or buy things she would need while she stayed. She then told me that for the weekend I would have to find somewhere else for my 2 cats to stay since she didn't want them around her baby and was afraid they would try to climb into her crib and hurt her. I don't want to do this since my cats are seniors, 18 years old, and wouldn't take well to the change no matter how short. I told her that since they are old, they would have no energy and interest in a newborn, plus they sleep with me every night and I can just keep the door closed. She didn't respond well to this and told me that if I really loved my niece, I would do anything I could to protect her. I was getting frustrated at this point and told her that I love my cats more and I'm not going to stress them out so I can meet my niece for a weekend. She hung up on me and is not responding to my calls. She got our mother involved and she's taken my sister's side and said I went too far and how could I love my cats more than my own niece. I admit that I could have responded better or kinder. I just was frustrated that she wasn't even trying to find a middle ground where we could both be happy. Not the asshole your sister is kind of selfish. Like, I'm a cat mom. I have my sweet little baby sleeping over there, and I would sell my soul for him, okay? If I could make him immortal, I would sell my freaking soul and everything I have for him. I do love him more than most of my relatives. I won't lie. I would pick him over 90% of my relatives. Yeah, I perfectly get where the OP is coming from because, like, the cats are seniors, and it is very, very dangerous to stress out cats of this age, even for 2 days, and it's absolutely unnecessary. Like, I would maybe understand a little bit where the sister is coming from if, say, the child was allergic to cats. I would get the demand to either move the cats or find a different arrangement, but she's just scared that the cats will harm a baby. Newsflash, most cats don't give a about babies and even about humans who live with them, especially old cats. All they do is like sleep and chill with their human. There should be no concern about that, but even then, you cannot demand from a person to get rid of their cats, even if it's just for 2 days, for absolutely no reason. Like, there is no valid reason to demand that. And to be pissed at her for saying that she loves her cats more than her niece is also ridiculous. Like, I understand it's just the problem of different viewpoints, but I'm firmly on the OP's side. There is no freaking way I'm stressing my cat over someone else's comfort. Nah, I would rather just cancel the visit. So let's move on. The last story for today is my partner, 36 female, threw away my 38 male grandma's secret recipe and I can't forgive her. My partner and I have been living together for 3 years now, and everything has been great until recently. Sadly, my grandma passed away a few years ago, and before she did, she gave me her family recipe book. This book was filled with secret family recipes that she trusted me with. I love cooking and absolutely loved my grandma's meals, so this book means a lot to me. The other day, I was looking for a recipe in the book to make one of my grandma's special meals, but to my surprise, the page with the recipe was gone. I searched everywhere and found out that my partner had thrown it away thinking the recipe was wrong. She said she didn't know the recipe book was from my grandma and assumed it was just some old notebook or whatever. I was really upset. She didn't ask me before throwing away something that meant a lot to me. It wasn't just a recipe, it had a piece of my family's history. I tried to explain how important it was, but she didn't care and said I could find another recipe online and that I'm overreacting. I'm struggling to move forward from this. Her being so dismissive of my feelings upsets me. I've never seen her behave this way before. How can I move past this? This is from Relationship Advice, by the way, and this story baffled me, so I decided to include it because something seems very off in this one. What do you mean she just took a page out of your grandma's recipe book and threw it away thinking it was wrong? Like, I would be asking not how to move past this. I would probably be confronting her again. Not in like an aggressive way, but I feel like you need to have a talk with her and ask if there is anything else she's omitting, or maybe there is anything else connected to the story, because it doesn't seem true to me. It seems odd. Feels like she either, I don't know, spilled something on it or tore it out on accident, got scared and threw it away so you won't find out, or she did it like on purpose for some malicious reason. I don't know what that would be, but think about it. She thought it was some old notebook or whatever. Where did you think this old notebook comes from? How do you confuse that? And also, how do you throw away just one page? And also, her reaction is odd. Like, she probably could see that you are upset and that you are devastated that she did that, and she's just like, oh, you'll find another recipe online. It just seems off. Anyway, we have a couple of edits. Thank you for all the comments. They were really helpful, especially since I started to think I was overreacting. I appreciate the reassurance. Yeah, no, you're definitely not overreacting. She threw away a rum cake recipe. I have no idea why. She liked it when she tasted it before, so the recipe wasn't wrong as she claimed. I haven't talked to her for almost 2 days. She is at work now. I'll probably have a conversation with her later when she gets home. I'm so sad and confused. I don't understand why she would want to hurt me like this. Everything was going well between us and we hadn't argued in weeks, so I'm not sure why she would want to take revenge on me. I do think she's lying about something. Something went wrong there and she's not coming clean. Oh, we have an update. This is exciting. Every time I see an update I didn't know about, I get so giddy. I'm like, yes. I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to give you an update on the situation I mentioned earlier. Thank you for your advice and support. Your words have been really helpful during this tough time. Since my last post, I talked to my partner about what happened. It turns out she threw away the recipe not because she thought it was wrong, but because she was jealous of my cooking skills. I need to take a second. Cringe. Come on. At first, she denied any bad intentions and tried to downplay the importance of the recipe book. But as we talked more, she finally admitted feeling jealous and insecure. It was surprising because I had never seen this side of her before. She said she has always been a little insecure about her own cooking skills. I had no idea. She feels like I outshine her in the kitchen, her words, especially after receiving all the compliments from her family last time we hung out. So in a fit of jealousy, she decided to throw away the recipe thinking it would somehow even the score. Needless to say, I was hurt and disappointed. I couldn't understand why she would let her jealousy get the best of her and intentionally hurt me. We had always supported and uplifted each other in our relationship, so this behavior was completely out of character. She apologized and promised to work on her insecurities and jealousy, but honestly, I don't think I can forgive her and move on from this. Once again, I wanted to say thank you all for your support and advice. Oh, well, I'm glad we were all correct in our suspicions. And yes, it's just one of those times where things seem fishy and there is no smoke without the fire. I'm glad you finally found out why exactly she did this. Anyway, yeah, I'm really sorry that she threw away this priceless recipe, because truly, like, the things that we get from older generations are so important, and the fact that she just threw it away in a fit of jealousy sucks. It seems like not a big deal, but then again, she did it probably knowing that it would hurt you and then lied. She came clean in the end, but still, it's the damage that is irreversible, both to the recipe book and to your relationship. So I would understand if you cannot move past this. This was the last story I've had for you today. Please let me know what you thought. What kinds of stories would you like to see? Don't forget to drop the like, to subscribe. Please, it helps a lot. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, though I doubt it, and I will see you with another episode next week as usual. Bye.